buying a saxophone, do not make these mistakes. How to check out a saxophone for great equal sound and smooth mechanics. There's a lot of trade in saxophones. Sometimes you want to trade up or just get a better instrument. The reasons can be many. The most important thing when you buy an instrument is that you are happy with your purchase. That you are stepping in the direction that you want, technically, sound-wise, and ability to grow. In this video, I'll go through how to check a horn, the do's and the don'ts. In this tutorial, why do you want a new saxophone? The urge to get another instrument. You do not want. What do you need to check on a saxophone? Sound check, technical check, price check. Hi there, I'm Søren and welcome to Søren Balgaard's saxophone lesson. Thank you for checking out this video. I hope to inspire. Hit the like and subscribe button if you like to subscribe. Get going on great saxophones. Why do you want a new saxophone? There can be many reasons to buy a new saxophone. You feel that you can improve better on another saxophone. You feel that your saxophone is holding you back on your sound. You have some technical or mechanical difficulties on your saxophone that you are not able to overcome by practicing more. The wish to get a new saxophone is mostly a feeling that something is insufficient. The feeling can be there for a long time, sometimes years. It's very good that you do not rush into immediately buy a new saxophone, but take some time before you really find out what is the insufficiencies and where is this insufficient feeling coming from before rushing into buying a saxophone. It can also be that you want to expand your range of saxophone to go from alto to tenor and the other way, or expanding to baritone or soprano, or just get an extra instrument. The urge to get another instrument. When you practice more, you get better. You get better technique, better ears, better understanding of music, and generally a better way of playing. You also hear better. You become better at what you need to change when you practice, so you know how to become better. When you have practiced for a long time and you come to the conclusion that your saxophone is somehow limiting you, you maybe think it's time to check another saxophone out, or you need to expand your range of saxophone. The times I have encountered this, mostly it's because my sound is insufficient. I want to get more out of my saxophone. Of course there are reeds and mouthpieces, but this we will save for another talk, another video. There is also the possibility that your saxophone is leaking or is somehow broken or otherwise damaged. But let's assume you feel confident in your sound regarding reeds, mouthpiece, and your saxophone is fully operational. The feeling is maybe that you put too much effort into your saxophone and you get too little out. You have to work too hard to get out what you want. You feel that you have stopped your development. You have already checked the instrument for leaks, reeds, and mouthpieces. It's all great. You do not want to buy a saxophone and when you have played for a week you are at the same place as with your old saxophone. You do not want to take a step backwards in sound and technique when you buy a new saxophone. You do not want to spend a lot of money on a small step forward when you buy a new saxophone. You do not want to not have met your expectations to a new saxophone. What you need to check on a saxophone, you need to find out exactly what you're missing. Again, it's about the change of the instrument and what you want better or likewise on another instrument, on a new instrument. In the time you're practicing, make a list of what you want to change to get better. Make a wish list. A wish list can change every day, but at some point you get back to the same issues again. Then you know that you are close to a conclusion. The issues mostly concern sound and technical things. The most important thing in your checklist is to get a very defined description of the problems you encounter. You need to be able to describe these to yourself, and if you get help to find another saxophone, describe these wishes to another person. Sound check. I have borrowed this saxophone from a good friend of mine. It's a Selmer Super Action 80 and I do not know the horn, so this is pretty new to me. Feels a little bit heavier than my own saxophone. Feels a little bit heavier. Okay. I'm testing this horn because my own horn only have very small differences, so it's difficult to hear those sound differences on a recording. The mouthpiece slides very easy on here. I need more cork there. How do you go about finding and describing your sound problem on your saxophone? On a saxophone, one of the weak tones are the middle D, this D. The note is most often less than the other notes on the saxophone. The way you can identify this is comparing the notes surrounding the D with the E and the F and the C and the B. An exercise to do this when encountering or checking for weak notes is this. Play a well-known scale up the whole range of the saxophone, in this case the D major scale. I play it relatively slow and listen carefully for the notes that fall outside the sound I'm used to hearing. When playing, remember to focus on good sound. Make sure you have full support of your abdomen and your airflow is open and uninterrupted. I hear the low G is a bit louder than the other notes and the middle D is a bit less than the notes surrounding it, especially the E above the D. I stop at the D and comparing it to the surrounding notes, play slowly back and forth. So basically I'm taking the D, playing to the E, D, playing to the C, sharp, D to the E flat, D to the C. I hear the D to the C sharp. The C sharp is just much bigger. Of course it's an open sound, but the D is definitely less. I check different sound levels, dynamics to see if there's something wrong. Check different tonguing and embouchure positions, so play soft. What I'm hearing here is less. When I'm playing louder, I hear much more. The D is less. Keep comparing. When I have reached certainly, I go through the scale again and give it another last go. I feel I have to push more on the D. I have to keep in on the G. I want to correct this on this horn or find another horn that I want to buy if I had to buy a new horn. Another great sound check you can do is to play certain easy and well-known licks. You need to play something you know because you don't want the technical thing to mess it up. So you know also how this normally would sound. Just a little jazz phrase, a short line on a dominant 7 chord. This is fairly easy to play on different spots on the horn. When I play this lick, I hear both the G and the D. Again, I listen to the notes, the sound, and comparison to the surrounding notes again. I hear the notes are not equal to the other notes. Maybe you do not hear this so clearly on the video, but it's a feel here. I have to work harder for the G and the D on this horn. Make sure you change position and check some other scales and lick positions. You hear the G to the A. Here is the B flat key, starting on the low B flat, which you also need to check. How does the full range of the horn resonate? How does this low B flat resonate? Again, it's obvious that the G and B flat are sticking out. Remember, when checking the horn, you can play any lick or any known melody. Remember to repeat yourself around these notes. Still the D. Above the lower notes. The lower on the horn you play, the more of the horn resonates. Low C, B and B flat are great notes to check the general sound of the saxophone. Play a couple of long low notes to see if the sound pleases you. Actually, the horn has a really fat, big sound down in the low end. So I think with a little bit of fixing this, you maybe it's a little bit leaking somewhere. So I think with a checkup, you can have a really great horn with this saxophone. Does the sound please you of the low notes? Are there any uneven notes? I don't think so. I really like it, what I just said. High notes. Then there is the higher register. I do not want to go extremely high, so keeping it human, going from the C, C sharp, D, E flat, E. To check these high notes, you need this sharp, nice Coltrane sound. This is my goal to get when I play these high notes. Whoa! There's a lot of resonance in here. Maybe you don't hear it on the recording, but there's a lot of resonance, a lot of power in these high notes on this one. It's very bright and open. Comparing the notes to each other and listening well if the notes are equal, but I do not have to do that. These notes are great up there. Technical check. Going on with the technical aspects of the horn. What you want to look out for is the tone holes if they are too open. Do you need to move your fingers too much to close the tone holes? Are you using unnecessary effort to play? I'll just ramble off some jazz lines. This horn is definitely too open, definitely. I need to move my fingers extremely much and it's also very, very heavy to move my fingers on. If you look at my own saxophone, the tone holes are much closer and it's much lighter to move my fingers, so I can play much more fast on this saxophone. I would definitely go to a tech guy and move the tone holes a little bit closer and get the springs a little bit less hard. I'm used to my own saxophone where the tone holes are much closer. Also the springs are much easier going. Further, I have my upper keys up here moved out in my palm so I can move much faster. They actually, see this? I move them into my hand so I can move them much faster, and they're actually right there when I need them. And here you see there's a lot of distance. I need to move all the way in there. So I would check this if I could put some extra material on here. Further, mostly on older model saxophone, there can be issues with the B flat, the B and the C key, these, if they're too heavy. On this one, I don't really like the application. On my own horn it's much easier going. I'm used to that, so I would definitely think if I should get this lightened up in some way with the mechanics or somehow. Sometimes the mechanics are not smooth and you need very lot of work with your pink. That's heavy work. Also, you have to work on the side keys here. Again, on my own saxophone, I move these side keys out, so I actually have them really close by in my hand. I always get work done on my saxophone on these parts. These are a few tips to give about the saxophone and the technique of the saxophone. Is it worth it? Price check. When you're thinking of buying another horn, new or old, you always have to compare to your old horn. How much better is this horn for you, the new horn, compared to your old horn? What is the price difference between your old horn and the new horn? What is the price for the new horn? Is it worth it? Is that much money worth the differences or the betterness you get? Is the money worth the quality you get? Is that D, high D sound worth 200 or 2,000 euros or dollars? Is those sharp or high notes worth the price difference? Can you directly compare the price to the advancement you are getting with your new saxophone? Do you want to compare the price to the advancement? Are you getting twice as much if you're putting twice as much money in? For example, if you have a 1,500 euro horn and you are advancing to a 3,000 euro horn, are you getting twice as much for your money? Really set your mind to value each change you make when you are changing and buying a new horn. Remember to ask questions. I would love to hear if you have any tricks when you buy saxophones. Likes, subscribes and shares are always welcome. All links mentioned in this video are available below in the description. Play music, have fun.